Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome. This is Thursday and it's me time, and it's Adrian Marks and the lovely Marina Nani. And I'm in Spain, so I'm going to say the little Spanish I know, which is buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, wherever you are in the world. Welcome. And it's been an interesting week, as anybody knows who's been listening to me. I'm now settling in, and it's my adventure. And so that's really sort of what I want to talk to you about tonight, because it's like, it's all very well saying this is what I want to do, but it's the actual delivering, isn't it? It's the actual sort of getting up and doing it that's the important bit. We can write our goals, we can sit and we can ponder what we're going to do with our lives, but we have to take action. We have to take massive action. And for me, it was very important, not just this sounds very dramatic if I say for my sanity, because I really didn't feel I could do another winter in London. I know it's still quite mild there from what I gather from people, but I just couldn't do it. I found it too cold, too damp, too dark. In fact, I've just been having some conversation with a friend of mine who's in London, and she was saying to me, so how's the move going? And she was asking me questions. And she said, so do you miss London? And I went, let me see. What do I miss? The crowds, the crowded tube, the dark mornings, the cold, the damp, the fact that everything's expensive. No, actually, I don't miss anything. I really don't miss anything at all. I was saying to her, she's a vegetarian, very, very sort of careful about what she eats. And, I've been shopping with her and for food, and she's a nightmare. She's worse than I am. And I said to her, I get my fruit and vegetables from the market. If I don't go to the Monday market, I can go to a Thursday market, which is a bit further away, but it's there. And she said, oh my God, that's so, so cool. And I said, yeah, it is. It really is. And for me, this is perfection. For other people, it might be, oh my God, I couldn't bear it. I couldn't bear to be away from the shops. And you know what? We've actually got shops here. And it's very relaxing for me. It's brilliant. Since I've been here, the weather has been very nice. We've had some very, very warm days, but it started to get it's getting cool in the evenings. And on Saturday it was lovely, and then Sunday it got a bit cooler. And yesterday I woke up and it was raining, and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. And I had to go out with somebody, with my neighbor, yesterday morning. And we went in her car, obviously. And it wasn't nice. It was cold and damp. But it wasn't, getting into your bones cold. It just wasn't very nice. And then by early afternoon, it had cleared up, and it was quite pleasant. Today, again, has been really quite nice, quite mild. But I find that, the air is clean here. I'm feeling so much better. I'm sleeping well. So the reason I'm telling you all this is that, sometimes we have dreams, we have goals, we have aspirations, and we spend a lifetime thinking about them, but never ever doing anything about them. And all I can say is, speaking from experience, that you just have to do it. Whatever's in your heart, you have to do it. Because, I said to people before I came out here, I totally burned my bridges. Everything was gone, all my furniture and everything. I got rid of everything. Um, and people said, well, what happens if you don't like it? And I said, I'll come back. It's not a million miles away. And even if it was a million miles away, I could still go back. You know, there's nothing stopping me. So that's what you have to do. You know, I have this thing about about the comfort zone. And we've got this thing in our head, and it's called I can't remember what it's called now. But it's like a thermometer. No, a gauge. You know, if you've got your central heating on and it's cold in the house, and you put the heating on, and you've got this temperature setting, and you set it to, I don't know, 65 or 70 or whatever you set it to, and then the temperature gets up, and it gets up to the right temperature, and then it cuts out, doesn't it? It doesn't go any higher. In the room, and the thermostat up again. And so if you imagine you've got something a bit like a thermostat in your head, and it's called the comfort zone. And what it does, its job is to keep you safe. It's to keep you at this even temperature. And so what happens is, say you're looking for a new job, and you tell people about it, and you say, I've sent out a few CVs, and I've talked to a few people, and so I'm getting quite excited, really. And then people start saying, oh, why do you want to do that? You know where you are, and it's coming up to Christmas, and that's really silly, and you shouldn't do that. And you say, no, I really do need to. I want to, for the new year, I want to start the new year with a new job, because I'm really fed up where I am. And I want to earn some more money, and whatever the reasons are. Mails out to people, and and you're getting quite excited. But what's happening is that you might get a letter back and say, I'm sorry, we've got nothing at the moment. Or you might reply to an ad or something, and nobody responds to you. And after a couple of weeks, what's happened is you're starting to get a little bit despondent. And so this thermostat of yours, you've moved away from it. I can't really show you here, but you've moved away from it. So instead of being at 70 degrees, which is where the thermostat is set for, you're now down at 65, and you're starting to feel a little uncomfortable. And you're thinking, oh, and then you talk to your best friend, you go out with her on a Friday night for a drink and a chat, and you say, she says, well, how's the job hunting going? And you say, well, I haven't had any responses yet. And she says, I told you, what are you doing? You shouldn't do that. And you say, I really do want to try. And she says, well, I think you're being very silly. You've got a good job, you're earning good money, and I think you're being silly. And you go, well, at the end of the day, it's my decision. And she says, yeah, of course it is. So you carry on for the evening, but you go to bed that night. And what's happened is her words start going on, and you just start feeling, oh, well, maybe she's right. And it's the 3 o'clock thing, isn't it? You wake up at 3. It's always 3 o'clock, and you wake up and you look at the clock and you go, oh God, and you start sort of thinking about, maybe she's right. Maybe I'm being a bit silly, and maybe I shouldn't do this, and maybe, you know what? I've been trying for about 3-4 weeks and nothing's happened. Maybe it's the universe's way of saying I'm not meant to change my job yet. And then as soon as you think that, this weight lifts off your shoulders and you start feeling comfortable again. And the universe rubs its hands in glee. The thermostat goes yippee. The comfort zone brings you back to where you were at the beginning. And you go off to sleep, and you sleep fine. And then it comes to January and February, and you're back in the same job. And it comes to Saturday night and Sunday night, you're miserable because you don't want to go back to work. And you think, do you know what? I think I'm going to look for a job. You know, beginning of the year, new start, blah, blah, blah. And then the little voice goes, yeah, remember what happened last time? You didn't do very well, did you? And you think, no, 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 I'm going to do. But this time, when you start, you don't even get that far. You last maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. And this thermostat, this comfort zone, keeps dragging you back. And one day you wake up and it's too bloody late. You know, you're about to retire and you've been in the same job for 10 years or however long it's been. And you've never made the move, you've never changed over. Can you see what I'm saying? Can you understand that? And this is the problem. The comfort zone is called the comfort zone for a reason. It's comfortable, but it does you absolutely no favors whatsoever. And you know, I've been there and worn the t-shirt, worn far too many of those t-shirts, and thought, oh, do you know, no, it's not too bad. And I've done it too many times in my life. But you know, you get to a stage, or you ought to get to a stage where you go, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm not going to put up with this stuff anymore. And whether it's a relationship, a job, whatever it is in your life that you're not happy with, your health, you can't keep putting it off, because you know what they say, tomorrow never comes. It really doesn't, because when it's tomorrow, it's today, isn't it? If that makes sense. So you have to do it, and you have to do it now. And when you first start, it is very uncomfortable. I you know, packed up at 68 years old, packed up everything I knew, got rid of all my furniture and my crockery and absolutely everything, clothes and shoes, and moved out here to sunny Spain. I don't have, you know, a husband or children or anybody I can sort of go, help. I've got some good friends, but in the end, I mean, so a couple of people have said to me here, I've made a few friends once since I've been here, and people have said to me, oh, I don't think I could do this on my own. And I said, why? What difference does it make? Well, aren't you lonely? And I said, not really. Because I've got inner resources, and I'm not saying that to be boastful or to be proud. I'm just saying it is what it is. I've spent a lot of my time, a lot of my life on my own, because I don't have a husband, a spouse, a partner. I don't have children. And so a lot of my life has been spent on my own, and I am, to a certain extent, very self-sufficient. That's not to say that I don't like people. I love people, and I'm very, very sociable. But I also like my own time. I also like my me time too, which is great. When I can close the door and just chill out on my own, it's wonderful. But that's me, that's not you. And I'm not saying that's you, and I'm not saying this is right for you. What I'm saying is that if there's something in your heart, and people who knew me, who know me in London and in other parts of the world, who know me, know that for come winter, and I kept saying I have to move somewhere warm in the winter. But I never did it. I just kept thinking about it because there was that comfort zone saying, oh, don't do it yet, don't do it yet. But in the end, I did do it. And I'm very glad. It's a, you know, I 4 years ago, I moved from for 12 years to North London on my own. Get into some semblance of normality. And this is a different country. This is a, you know, somewhere where they don't have tubes, they don't speak my language. But I'm doing it, and I'm quite proud of myself. because I've done it, because no matter what happens, I'll always be able to say, do you know what? I picked myself up and I did it. It was in my heart and I did it. As I say, whether it works out, whether it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that I'm doing it. And I can't stress this enough. I'm 68 years old. And it took me a bloody long time to get to that stage. What I don't want for you is for you to spend your life in regret. I don't want you to get to 68 and then decide to do something. I want you to do it now while you can, while you've got the energy. I was talking to somebody today. He's been in Spain, lovely man. Been in Spain for 25 years. And said to me, I will never ever go back. He said, I love it here. He said that just everything. And that's the thing. It's a different way of life, a totally different way of life. It's very relaxed. It's very, it's just different. It's just different. I mean, maybe if you lived in a city, it might be the same. If you lived in Madrid or Barcelona, I don't know. It possibly is different. But this isn't a tiny village. This is a little town. But it's very, very Spanish. It's very quiet at the moment because lots of the houses are shut up for the winter. They open for 2 months of the year, July and August. Apparently, it's a nightmare here. I was here in September and it was quite buzzing. It was lovely. But apparently, July and August, everybody comes. They all come from Madrid and from all the big towns, and they have houses here. And they open their houses, and you can't see the beach for people. Not a grain of sand can you see. I'll let you know what it's like then. But it's wonderful now. I love it. Absolutely wonderful. It's so different to what I'm used to, and I'm getting used to it. It's brilliant. But all I want to say to you is that there is no time like the present. That you need to get this idea that you don't deserve it out of your head. Whatever it is you want, you deserve. You deserve to have a good life. Life isn't meant to be a struggle. It was never meant to be a struggle. You're meant to have exactly what you want to have. And it's not impossible. I don't know what you want. But what I do know is that I have tools and processes and practices, practical stuff that I can show you how you can gain the strength to do whatever it is you want to do. Maybe you want to, I don't know, swim the channel. Maybe you want to travel the world. Maybe you want to just pick yourself up and do something with your life. Maybe you've just spent all your life looking after other people, a husband, children, and now older parents. And that's not easy, is it? I know. My mother, unfortunately, had dementia, and that's the worst thing imaginable. That is horrible. And unfortunately, it happens to too many people. I was talking to a lady a week or so ago, and she was saying how she felt guilty. She'd come out to see, with her partner, she'd come out to see some friends who live out here. And she said, you know, everybody says I'm being selfish. And I said, I don't think you're being selfish. You're looking after yourself. Because at the end of the day, and everybody who knows me will know, I've said this many times before, if you don't look after yourself, there'll be nothing inside. You know, you're like a battery, and even the Duracell battery runs down. So you have to look after yourself, and it all comes from, as we said a long time ago, me time is an inside job. It's loving yourself. It's feeding yourself the right food. It's sleeping when you need to. As I said, I've been sleeping a lot. I went on 2 long walks today, and I am really tired. But I go to bed early. Although having said that, last Saturday, I went out with a lot of people. We went to this awesome place and listened to this fantastic band who played all my sort of generation's music, 60s and 70s stuff. And I danced for hours and it was wonderful. I haven't done that for ages. And they were a brilliant band and lots of people were dancing and we had a wonderful time. I can do that when I have to, when I want to. It's great. But most of the time, I'm 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I'm tired and I go to bed and I sleep really, really well. And this is what I'm saying. If you're, again, I was talking to somebody he's only been here since June and starting to get into the way of life. And he said one of the things that's interesting is that when you first come out here, you realize that you don't have to eat at certain times. I mean, he's retired anyway. He said, but you don't have to eat at breakfast time because it's breakfast time, and lunchtime because it's lunchtime, and dinner time because it's dinner time. You eat when you're hungry. And that's what I'm doing. Eating when I'm hungry, not because I'm in a job and have to, have my lunch at a certain time so I'm, in that respect, I'm very fortunate. But, when I was in London and when I was working, I used to, I didn't go out to lunch, but I always had food there. I used to graze. I used to eat. And it was always fruit, nuts, and salads and good stuff, But it's a great way of keeping your energy levels up. But yeah, eat when you're hungry, sleep when you're tired. That's what kids do. That's what children do. When they're hungry, they eat. When they're tired, they sleep. And that's what we need to do. We need to start listening to our bodies, listening to what our bodies say, what they're telling us. Like one day you might fancy a big steak for dinner. Next day you might fancy just salad or fruit. Don't deny yourself because that's what your body wants. Oh, but it's dinner time. I shouldn't just have fruit. Why not? If that's what your body wants, give it to it. If your body says, I need a great big steak, go buy yourself a good piece of meat, grill it and have it. You don't have to have anything else with it, no vegetables, nothing. Just eat it as it is. Awesome. So good for you. Really good. And I tell you what, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and we were saying, as you get older, you need more protein. And I never used to cook red meat. I would occasionally have, I'd have lamb out. Very rarely, a Sunday roast, so I'd have beef occasionally, but not very often. But in the last year or so, I have started cooking red meat because it's good for me. And so I'll have it maybe once a week. But fish is also good for me. I love fish. I made a huge thing of soup the other day. And I was like, oh, it was so delicious. And I had 2 big bowls of it. And then I thought, oh, I'll have some for lunch today. But I didn't fancy it for lunch today. I fancied fruit. So I had fruit instead. And so that was it, So I'll have it another day. Doesn't matter. But that's it. I'm listening to my body. And that's what you have to do. If your body says, I'm tired, sleep. Even if, and this is very outrageous, and you're saying, well, but I work and I do 9 to 5, and how can I sleep? Well, do you know what? I've said this before. You can just have a power nap. A power nap is so good for you. 5 minutes at your desk, literally. You can just nod off for 5 minutes and just set your phone to wake you up in 5 minutes. It's like, wow. It just energizes you. The 3 o'clock slump. Lots of people get it. I used to get it. Awful. Absolutely horrible. Get to 3 o'clock and I'd be like dozing at I could feel my head swaying. Didn't matter how early I went to bed. Mind you, then I used to go to bed quite late. But yeah, so listening to your body, that's what you need to do. If things are stressing you out in the office, breathe, go for a walk, get some fresh air. I don't know how fresh the air is where you are, but just wrap yourself up and go out for a walk. Clear your head. Because if you do that and then come back and attack the problem, the situation, the circumstance, whatever's going on, you're much clearer. But if you sit there and just sort of agonize over it, it just gets worse. It's like a ball of string. If it's all knotted up, if you try to unravel it and you pull it, what happens? It just gets more tangled, doesn't it? But if you gently start to ease the bits off, you'll eventually manage to do it. And it's the same with a problem, with a situation, with a circumstance, whatever's going on, a stress situation in the office. Somebody is having a bad day and taking it out on you, or there's an issue, or there's pressure, and there's a deadline, blah, 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 blah. You know, in the end of the day, as somebody once said to me, your employers won't pay for your funeral. And when that person said this to me, I was, oh. And she said, will they? And I went, no. And she said, well, there you are. So who do you owe your allegiance to? I said, me. She said, exactly. You have to look after yourself. And I've learned that. I've learned to look after myself. And it's not easy. It's not easy. If you're not used to it, if you're used to running around after people, if you're used to pushing yourself, oh, it's all right, I'll go into work, I don't feel too bad. I used to do that. I've done it before, and by 10 o'clock, 10:30, I'd say to my boss, I have to go home, I feel dreadful. I can't concentrate. So you're no good to anybody. So you're better off staying at home, looking after yourself. And if you're very lucky, if you've got somebody at home to look after you, get them to look after you, make you some soup or some tea, and just do what you have to do to get your energy levels back up again. Because there's no point pushing yourself. What are you going to be? The richest person in the cemetery? The wisest person in the cemetery? The person in the cemetery who's made the most deals? Big deal. You're still going to be dead. I'm sorry, that might sound very cruel and very mean of me, but do you know what? That's life. That is the way things are. Martyrs don't finish last. People just tend to walk all over them. And it doesn't matter how much you think you've got to do something. I ought, I should. That's the most dreadful, dreadful word. I should. No, actually, you shouldn't. You have to learn that number one is the most important. You are the most important person in your life. And until you get that through your head, until you realize how important you are, how you need to be healthy, how you need to be well. And the only way by doing that is to look after yourself, to give yourself me time, to de-stress, to eat foods that make you feel good, to be with people that make you feel good, to laugh, to have fun. All of that is so important for your own well-being. And once you've got that, then you can help other people. Then you can do your job to the best of your ability. But don't sit at work trying to finish a report and trying to stay awake and drinking masses of black coffee. Been there, done that as well. That's the worst thing to do. Because when you come down, you just need more black coffee, more black coffee, more black coffee. And that's not going to make you well. It's really, really bad for you. So what I'm saying is learn to look after yourself. Learn to love yourself. Tell yourself that you deserve it, and you do. Where did you hear that you don't deserve? Where did you hear that you weren't worthy? Who told you that? A teacher, a parent, a sibling, a friend, a cousin? Do you learn it at school? Well, the kids. When did it happen? When did it happen that you had to take care of everybody? Who said you had to? Where was it written? You have to really look at what you're doing with your life and how you're doing it, what you're eating, how you're looking after yourself. Are you taking care of yourself? Now that You know, it's November, it's late November. And if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, which thankfully I'm not at the moment, it's getting cold, dark evenings. I mean, it's dark here now, but, you know, cold evenings, it might be raining, it might be damp. You're living with central heating in the office, central heating at home. You get this little bit of air when you leave the house and you go to the office. Do you drive? If you drive, oh my God. So you get up the house, you get into the car, you drive to the office. You don't get any air at all. So at the weekends, wrap up warm, go for a walk on the park. There must be a park near you. Or the river. Go down to the river. The river's awesome. It's water. Water is so healing. It's got the most magical powers. You must have, you know, no matter where you live, you've got to have a river relatively near you. And just start doing things for yourself. Start feeling that life is good. Be grateful for what you've got. And you know what? When you're grateful, when you start looking after yourself and when you start being grateful for what you've got, then all sorts of good stuff starts happening. If you hate your job and you've got a crummy boss, if you start saying, and I know this will sound weird, but if your boss is crummy to you, but if you start saying, I have the most wonderful boss, my bosses always look after me, my bosses always take care of me. Do you know what? After a while, they say it takes 21 days to put a habit into your mind. If you say that every day for 21 days, somehow a miracle will happen. You'll either get promoted to another job, moved into a different department, or your boss might not be such a crumb as you think he is. Or she is, for that matter. I don't know how it happens. It's just what we put out there is what we get back. If you believe that life is rubbish, then that's what you get back. If you believe that life is good, yeah, you know, everybody has problems and obstacles and stuff that goes on. And as I always say to my clients, it's just stuff. In the greater scheme of things, it's not important. What is important is how you feel. What is important is looking after yourself, is taking care of yourself. And the best way to do that is giving yourself positive words to say, telling yourself that, you know, every night before I go to sleep, I say, I'm open and receptive to all the good and abundance in the universe. And that makes me feel really, really good. And when I wake up in the morning, I say, thank you for a wonderful night's sleep. I'm open and receptive to all the good and abundance in the universe. And I do, I open my arms wide and I draw in the best that I can because I am grateful. A friend gave me a book, it's a journal, and I'm just looking at it and it says at the front of it, I'm doing my best. A journal in which to prove, despite any indications to the contrary, I am constantly working on myself and trying to become the very best me, even though it's a much slower and harder process than Oprah and Deepak would have us believe. And while I would sometimes prefer just to swallow a pill or have a personality transplant, I will keep plugging away. This is a very good friend of mine. I will keep plugging away. Hold on a minute. I'm just reading the last line because it's very small print. At this infernal self-improvement thing until I've done so well, I can come back in my next life as a golden retriever. Isn't that wonderful? And then every page, it says how I'm working on myself today. And yesterday I wrote some notes. I don't write notes every day, but it's just an awesome book. And that's it. I'm doing my best. We're all doing our best. You can't ask for any more. But doing your best is knowing that you're looking after yourself. that before anybody else, you take care of yourself. Eat the right foods, be with the right people, laugh, enjoy yourself, go dancing like I did on Saturday. That was awesome. That was absolutely fantastic. And tomorrow and Sunday, I have got a very small part in the local pantomime. Oh, no, I haven't. Oh, yes, I have. I'm not actually in the pantomime as such. I'm sort of, I'm going to be a very glamorous usherette. I'm going to show people to their seats and just be charming and lovely and funny. I have to be very funny, apparently. So I'm going to do my best. I've got a blonde wig. I don't have blonde hair, but I've got a blonde wig, and I will send pictures out, which will be great fun. And I'm really looking forward to it. But that's it. Just step out of the comfort zone and just do something different and just enjoy whatever time you have. If you're 30, God, I envy you. I really do. I wish I was 30 again, but knowing what I know now. If you're 50, if you're 60, whatever age you are, it's never too late. It's never too late to stand up and say, I'm looking after me now, because me time is the most important thing ever. And if you want some help, if you want a little guidance, if you want to know some tricks to make the me time easier and more fun, get in touch with me. My website is www.adrianmarksmetime.com/connect-us. And you can connect with me, just send me an email, send me a note and say, listen, lady, I want some of what you've got. And I will more than gladly help you, take you by the hand and show you, teach you how, with a few little tweaks, you can learn to love yourself, be good to yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's all there is. Seriously, put it out there and you'll get it back. Remember, life is too short not to do what makes your heart sing. It really is. I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to wish you a phenomenal week full of joy and love and laughter and good times. And I hope wherever you are, you keep warm, keep happy, laugh a lot. And just remember, it's stuff. It's not important. In the greatest scheme of things, you're the most important thing there is. I'm sending you lots of love. Adrian Marks, sending you love. Bye-bye.